Chapter 14. Musings about the inscrutable gender. A date. Ashley to the rescue. Painful praise. When I began 10th grade, I never imagined I would become a belle. But when Seth Young called the 3rd December evening in a row, and Mom made a comment about boys, I began to rethink my self-image. It's not boys, Mom. It's just Seth. He wanted the math homework.
The math homework, eh? What did he want yesterday?
How do you know he called yesterday? Did you go snooping in my calls received list? Mom looked hurt.
You know I wouldn't do that. But if he calls while we're in the car, I can't help overhearing, can I?
Well, if you did overhear, you'd know he wanted to find out if I'd finished reading Mad Alex's story for Sailing, the literary magazine.
And the day before?
Oh, Mom! It's just Seth, really. Would you go out with him?
I don't know, honey bear. I don't think I've met him.
Unless, is he that nice-looking young man who gave you that chocolate turkey? Was he? Whatever Ashley might believe about Ned, I hadn't solved the chocolate turkey mystery to my satisfaction. I'm not sure, I said. There's a bunch of people it could be. You didn't exactly give us a good description.
There! What did I tell you? Said Mom triumphantly. Boys!
Taken one by one, I felt, Ned, Igsome Chris, Seth, and Parr added up to something less than, or at least other than, boys. None of them seemed to be behaving like a real suitor. No matter what Ashley said, I couldn't believe that Ned had feelings for me. Igsome did pursue me pointedly. He was out for conquest. But as long as he didn't conquer me, you could say I'd won. However, my victory was nothing personal, as Yvette had shown. He chased after anything female. Nor did Seth fit the bill, I told myself. Nothing could be more natural than for a guy to call a girl with whom he shared several classes and endless literary duties. As for Parr, well, what was there to say about Parr? I was afraid my conflicted feelings for him might be clouding my observations. The warm, teasing gallantry that marked our first meeting had given way to something more restrained. Now, when we were together, I always felt a barrier between us, as if he were quietly holding me off or holding himself back. At moments, I even imagined that he was aiming some intensity directly at me, but stopping, perfect swordsman that he was, with the point at my heart, a fraction of an inch from drawing blood. What this meant for Ashley and her dreams, I couldn't say. I often thought he treated her with the same courtesy he gave me, but with more freedom, more warmth. Individually, then, none of these boys seemed to justify that remark of my mother's. Taken altogether, though, there certainly were a lot of them. Was Mom right? Did they count as boys? There was no talking to Ashley about it, of course. I knew I'd just get an earful about Ned. But Sam, when I consulted her, sided with Mom.
Why does Seth have to call you on the phone about the homework and stuff? She asked. If all he wants is information, he could just as easily email you. With the phone, he can get you to give him one-on-one, person-to-person alone time, even if he can't actually get you alone in person. I don't know, Julie. Unless you do something definite to discourage him, I bet he'll make a move soon. As usual, Samantha was right. Seth sent me a text message one Thursday afternoon. Can you meet me at Java Jail to discuss page proofs? I should have guessed what was going on when he paid for my latte and insisted with extra nervous pompousness that half of my whiches should have been that's. but it wasn't until he had put away all his papers and turned the subject to the movie playing at the Cinepalace that I realized what he had in mind. "Well, if you haven't seen it either, you want to go see it now?" asked Seth. I can't. I have to... My mom needs me to help her in the shop," I garbled, taken by surprise. "Then what about tomorrow night?" A movie alone with Seth? On a Friday night? What would that mean? What would that make us? What would people think if they saw us? "I promised Ashley," I began, meaning to finish the sentence that I'd go see it with her. But I realized in time that I'd already told Seth all about her reaction to the movie, which she'd seen with Emily Meehan the previous weekend while I was at my dad's. That I'd hang out with her and help her with her dance routine, I finished lamely. Seth got a stubborn look in his face, centered mostly around the jaw. "What about Saturday night, then?" he said. "Saturday night? Even worse." I caved. "I'll call my mom and see if I can help her tomorrow instead," I said. His jaw relaxed, and he gave me a proud smile, as if he had beaten me by 7 points on an English test, and I had praised him for it. Have you ever been to the movies with a boy that you most certainly don't like? A boy whose hands you can almost feel thinking, as if they had their own separate little brains, about creeping over to your shoulder or reaching for your hands. He leans closer to whisper some sardonic comment to show he's superior to the movie. You nod abruptly, trying to fend him off with your famously pointy chin. His shoulder brushes yours, and you feel him trembling a little under his pose. You draw away to the other side of your seat, pushing against the armrest until it digs into your waist. I escaped to the ladies halfway through and put in a rescue call to Ashley. "Help," I whispered. "I seem to be on some sort of horrible date or something with Seth Young. Can you meet me accidentally at the Cinepalace in an hour when the movie gets out?" "A what? A date? With who? What?" "Can't talk now. I've got to get back to my seat. Please, it's important. Cinepalace, 1 hour.